Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are here for the 2023 NHL Draft. So the draft will be coming up in a little while. I'm going to be watching it live on my computer. You guys obviously cannot see that because of the rules with YouTube. We're going to wait for some of you guys to start trickling in. What's going on, Blue Line Hockey? What's going on, Urban? Thank you guys so much for joining us on this super hot, super rainy, super humid day on Long Island. But of course, the focal point today is the NHL Draft. Really excited for this afternoon going into this evening. As the NHL Draft, there's a lot of storylines. Just the draft alone, there was a lot to talk about, but there is so much other than the draft going on. So much has happened here over the last couple of days. So we're going to go over all of that stuff as well. And this is going to be a lot of fun, guys. A lot of guys are going to be achieving their life goal dream of going up to the podium, getting drafted, having their name called by Gary Bettman, and ultimately shaking his hand, throwing on the jersey of whatever NHL franchise they will be joining tonight. History will be made here tonight on June 28th here of 2023. You know, this is a big moment for a lot of these guys. They've been waiting their entire lives for the opportunity to get drafted into the National Hockey League. So without further ado, let's get into some of the deals that have been going on here over the last couple of weeks. So, you know, since the Vegas Golden Knights have won this Stanley Cup, a lot has happened since then. And basically, we're going to start off with what's already happened, and then we'll start to get to some of the rumors. So to start off with, a couple of pretty big trades. So Pierre-Luc Dubois, everybody thought he was going to Montreal bound. And then next thing you know, he ends up going to the Los Angeles Kings for a monster haul, going to the Winnipeg Jets. Pierre-Luc Dubois goes to the Los Angeles Kings. He also signs an 8-year contract as well, paying him $8.5 million per season. So Dubois is locked in to Winnipeg, into LA. Apologies for that. The other way, the Winnipeg Jets pick up a big package. Now, there was talk that maybe a guy like Jansen Harkins would end up being a part of the deal. Not how things would unfold. We ended up seeing Gabe Vilardi, who was really the biggest asset from the Los Angeles Kings. We end up seeing Alex Iafallo, Rasmus Kupari, who was also a former first-round pick of the Kings, and a 2024 second-round pick. Overall, I think this was a really good deal for both teams. Winnipeg gets a bunch of dudes that, you know, these are young players that can help fill out their roster, specifically down the middle, picking up 2 centers, a winger in Iafallo that can kill penalties, 2 young forwards, specifically centers in Vilardi and Kupari. Oh, yeah, and also a second-round pick next season. For the Los Angeles Kings, they get a big-bodied center, a guy that's going to be a force to be reckoned with next season in LA. Adds a lot of size to that team. And not to mention, this is a guy that, listen, maybe a little bit people are saying he's overrated and things like that. If you watch that first-round series against the Vegas Golden Knights, Pierre-Luc Dubois, not saying he's the next Nathan MacKinnon, but the similarities in his game. He looks like a rhinoceros when he's on the ice. And when Dubois is motivated and he's on his A game and he's mentally in the right place, Pierre-Luc Dubois is one of the best players in the entire National Hockey League. And some of you may agree with me, some of you may disagree. He's definitely a polarizing figure for a whole plethora of reasons. But Pierre-Luc Dubois, baby, this is a really big pickup for the Kings. So that was the big move. We also saw a couple of other interesting trades that were kind of a win for both teams, specifically the Montreal Canadiens acquiring Alex Newhook from the Colorado Avalanche. Interesting move here by the Avalanche, as this is a guy you would probably think at 22 years old, a young center. You probably want to keep him in the fold for the long haul. That's not the case, as Alex Newhook, who is an RFA with arbitration rights this summer, ends up going to Montreal. In exchange, Colorado picks up a late first-round pick, which is 31st overall in tonight's draft, as well as a second-round pick for tomorrow, which is 37th overall. They also pick up a defensive prospect, Gianni Fairbrother. So a couple of interesting things here. as we're kind of winding up here for the draft. And thank you, PJ. Thank you for joining us. All you guys. Round of applause to all you guys. It's been a while since we had a live stream. Thank you guys so much for joining us. So Connor Bedard goes to the Chicago Blackhawks. No surprise here. You know, this is a slam dunk for the Chicago Blackhawks. Bedard is a generational talent. He's the type of player that we're going to look back in 5-6 years from now, and hopefully even longer than that. This is a real deal hockey player. This is a perfect guy for the Chicago Blackhawks to rebuild their entire identity. This isn't even just a rebuilding the identity from all the scandals that have been going on there, just everything in general that's gone in Chicago. I'll admit I wasn't too happy with the fact that they ended up getting the first overall pick. I don't think that ownership deserved the first overall pick. But for Connor Bedard, he's going to an original six franchise, a huge market there in Chicago, a winning pedigree there in Chicago. So I'm happy for the Blackhawks. I am happy for Bedard. The fans didn't do anything. They didn't deserve any of this BS with everything going on. It's really the ownership that I'm the most upset about with the whole situation. But other than that, for Bedard, for the fan base there in Chicago, I'm extraordinarily happy for those guys. Everybody else in the Central Division, probably Urban, he's in the chat. I'm sure he's not too happy about that. But other than that, I'm sure most of the National Hockey League is for the most part, kind of coming to terms with everything that's gone on there. So Connor Bedard is your guy going to the Blackhawks. We'll see how things fall here. At number 2, I would expect Anaheim to go with Adam Fantilli. I hope that's who they go with. But there's been a lot of talk that Leo Carlsson has been on the radar for the Anaheim Ducks. And if that's the case, that could really make things interesting for the 3rd overall pick for Columbus and 4th overall, for that Sharks pick, which a lot of people are saying the Sharks could end up trading that draft pick. We've also heard a lot of rumors. Apparently, Montreal has basically really been deliberating over 5 separate offers this morning for the 5th overall pick. So keep an eye on Montreal and San Jose, that 4th and 5th overall selections. If any of those guys like Mitch Kov or Carlson drop to 4 or 5, definitely expect some teams to be calling to try and get one of those draft picks. Apologies, guys. I'm just trying to get into ESPN here to watch the actual draft because, of course, I missed it, right? Because that's how these usually go. These live streams end up kind of going down that route. But whatever, it is what it is. We will continue. And to be honest, we kind of knew what the 1st overall pick was going to be anyway. So it's really not all that surprising. Oh, so they're on the clock. So they haven't even made the pick yet. Or maybe I'm just late. But we'll see. So, guys, can you hear me down below? Let me know if you guys can hear me. Just to make sure that the mic and everything is good. Thank you, Urban. And shout out to PJ, one of our members on the channel. Thank you so much, PJ, for the support of the channel. I know you've been wanting a live stream. I did see that, and we were able to do a live stream tonight. So everything worked out perfectly in that regard. So the pick is in for Chicago. Let's see what they do. So let's see what Chicago does here. They're up at the table. Let's see. So here we go. Pick is in. I actually lost audio. Wow. What the heck? All right, let's try this again. That is crazy. The second they go to make the pick, my audio just shuts off. Man. There it is. So Bedard is the first overall pick to the Chicago Blackhawks. There you go. Now, what's incredible, too, and they're mentioning it now, for his first NHL game, he will be playing Sidney Crosby. How incredible is that? That's going to be a really good first game. So now it's up to Anaheim. Basically, Anaheim is going to make Columbus's pick because if Anaheim takes Leo Carlsson, Adam Fantilli would end up going to Columbus. That's what I'm going to go with. I really do think Anaheim's going to take Fantilli here, though. And I think Carlson's going to go to Columbus. That's my prediction. We'll see if I'm right or not, but it would definitely be interesting. We've also heard stuff about Anaheim maybe even taking a look at Michkov. Pat Verbeek, the new GM in Anaheim, would really be making a big splash, making that kind of move, but definitely keep an eye out for that. This is definitely something that could be lurking behind the scenes. So keep an eye out for Anaheim here at the second pick. This could be kind of interesting. And that would completely blow up the top five because let's just say hypothetically, if Anaheim did take Michkov, well, now you've got 3 and 4 where you're going to see Fantilli and Carlson get drafted. That is going to create a lot more pressure on the 4th overall pick for San Jose. Would a team bite to maybe move up? So as we wait for the 2nd overall pick, we talked about the Dubois trade. We talked about the Alex Newhook trade. I think that was a great trade for both teams. Defensive prospect coming in for Colorado. They pick up a late first, early second round pick. Good job for Colorado. They're trying to retool on the fly, if you want to say. But I think this is a great pickup for Montreal. There's a really good hockey player. Wasn't getting the opportunity. It just didn't work in Colorado, right? The expectations for Colorado, they want to win right now. And I just don't think they had enough faith in Newhook last season. 22-year-old center. This is the kind of guy that could really come in and make a difference for the Montreal Canadiens as soon as next season. And now you look at that center core. Depending on what happens for Montreal tonight, they're going to have Alex Newhook, Kirby Dach, and Nick Suzuki. That's a pretty good top 3 center group, if you ask me. So we'll see how things go. I like what we're seeing there from Kent Hughes and the Montreal Canadiens. We also saw another trade. This is the one that kind of caught me off guard because I just didn't think this would happen. Tyler Toffoli goes to the New Jersey Devils for a 3rd-round pick in 2023, and Yegor Sharangovich, he ended up signing a 2-year extension with the Calgary Flames this afternoon. really odd trade. Calgary gave up a lot to get Tyler Toffoli. I believe it was a first and 2 seconds and a prospect, something like that. They did not get that in return here. They better hope Sharon Govich is a really good player, because this is a tough deal if I'm a Calgary Flames fan. Not a great start for Craig Conroy and the Calgary Flames, but we'll see what happens. It's a long offseason for Calgary, but to start off, not a huge move there. I'm not a huge fan of that. Urban, that's a great point. Montreal is so small, though. I think that's their brand. They want to be that team that's a skilled, fast team, but small. But come playoff time, that's going to be a problem. I do agree with you in that sense. Once they start making the playoffs, that's going to be an issue, I think. Absolutely. And then we could see something where next summer they try to overcorrect it and end up making a bigger mistake, right? Bringing in some big guy and overpaying for a Kachuk that isn't a Kachuk, and they end up paying for it dearly. So we'll see what happens, but that's going to be interesting with Montreal. Also, we saw the Avalanche continue to make some moves as they moved out Alex Newhook. They've also traded out the RFA signing rights. Oh, no, they've brought in the RFA signing rights of Ross Colton. Ross Colton won a Stanley Cup with Tampa Bay in 2021. So it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of unfolds. It was a second-round pick for Colorado. The 37th overall pick they got from Alex Newhook. They flipped it right back in the Eastern Conference for Ross Colton. I think Tampa Bay is trying to create that cap space to try and keep a guy like Alex Killorn. That's what this is kind of telling me, but there's no guarantees here. So they're really milking this. So they have not made a pick now for a while, but Anaheim is on the clock. They should be making a pick here fairly soon. But it's official now. Connor Bedard to the Chicago Blackhawks. It makes a ton of sense, right? You look at Lucas Reichel, you look at Frank Nazar, Connor Bedard. This Blackhawks team is evolving right in front of our eyes. And I think that as these guys start to develop, start to build some chemistry, this is the future of the Chicago Blackhawks, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely a reason to be excited, because I think that despite everything that's gone wrong for the Blackhawks over the last couple of years, definitely a big pickup for them getting Connor Bedard. Like I said earlier, I'm definitely happy for them. But now let's see what Anaheim is going to do, because this is the one that's a little more, we don't know what Pat Verbeek is going to do, right? Because they could jump a little bit off the board here. They have so many good players too. They have McTavish. They have Jamie Drysdale, Zegras. I don't know what they're going to do here. All right, so let's see. The pick is in for Anaheim. Let's see. So Anaheim takes Leo Carlsson. Wow. So those reports last week were correct. They really liked Leo Carlsson. So Leo Carlsson goes second overall to the Anaheim Ducks. Wow. That's a big pick right there. Wow. Man, and they're already trashing this kid. He's too small. He's not big enough. He's got a lot of development to do. Oh man, these guys love that though. This is bulletin board material. When they start, remember Carey Price when he was drafted? They were saying, "Oh, Carey Price, they've already got a goalie there in Montreal. They don't need him." this and that. And then Carey Price became Carey Price. These guys got to be careful when they talk trash about these kids, because they come back and they make sure you eat your words on that. So Leo Carlsson, wow. So there's our first little weird pick here, because now I would think Columbus for sure is going to take the kid from the University of Michigan in Adam Fantilli. I think that's a slam dunk move here for them. But yeah, so they're basically comparing Leo Carlsson to Pierre-Luc Dubois. So this is going to be a storyline. So if you guys are just jumping in here, thank you for joining us first and foremost. Also, first two picks, Chicago takes Connor Bedard, second overall, Leo Carlsson to the Anaheim Ducks. PJ, great question. Thoughts on the Toffoli trade? I talked about it a little bit earlier, but you did miss it. That's all right. Yeah, I don't know what you think, PJ. I don't know what the Flames are doing with that move. I know they didn't have a ton of leverage. Toffoli didn't want to sign back and things like that. You got to really hope Sharangovich is a baller, because they gave him an extension already today. 2 years, $3.1 million per season. I think that's similar to what we're looking at. I don't know what Craig Conroy is doing in that move. Not a fan of the deal. For New Jersey, it's a gift horse. There's a gift horse deal for the New Jersey Devils. I think the way that they fleeced Edmonton for Taylor Hall, they had to continue dominating the Battle of Alberta, right? Because they said, yeah, we got a good deal from Edmonton. We need a deal here from Calgary. And that's exactly what they did. It's so hot in here. Like, disgustingly hot. Man, you can tell how nervous he is. That's crazy. I love that patch on the Ducks jersey. Oh, man. Guess I'm getting a Ducks jersey this year. Flames should trade Lindholm right now to Columbus. That's interesting. Another team to watch for here between picks 3, 4, and 5. They're in Nashville. It is extraordinarily quiet. Watch for Barry Trotz if he tries to get a pick in the top 5. There was rumors this afternoon that Yaroslav Askarov, their top goalie prospect, a former first-round pick, could be available. And if that's the case, they've also got, I believe, the 15th overall pick, as well as a guy like Askarov. That could put them into the territory of getting a really good draft pick to move up. So we'll see what happens, but definitely keep an eye on that. So Columbus is on the clock. Let me know what else you guys are want to talk about. And Urban said is Trotz. Yeah, Trotz is the GM of the Nashville Predators. How crazy is that, right? People are still picking up on that. They missed the last couple weeks. They're like, wait, Barry Trotz? You know what, Urban? I kind of take responsibility for that, because if you follow this channel the way you do, Urban, you should know that stuff. I'll take the accountability on that one, Urban. But yes, Barry Trotz is the GM of the Nashville Predators. Yeah, he definitely has to fill out a little bit. He's 6'2", 185 pounds. That's the process, though. They're going to go through training camp with him this year and things like that. But Leo Carlsson, honestly, I like the pick here for Anaheim. Pat Verbeek is a guy that's known to go off the board, because everybody in the hockey world would tell you it should be Adam Fantilli. Well, when you live in a world of shoulds, things can go wrong, and we see that every day. So I like Pat Verbeek maybe going against the grain and taking Carlsson with the second pick. This is great for Columbus, though, because Adam Fantilli is their guy, I would assume, right? Unless they end up going for Michkov. I didn't know. So Columbus's pick is in at the 3rd overall pick. Let's see. Is it Fantilli or Michkov? All right, so they got Kekalainen coming up for the pick. Let's see. So Adam Fantilli goes 3rd overall. There you go. So any debate about if Michkov would go? Nope, not yet. He's still on the board. Connor Bedard goes to the Blackhawks 1st overall. Leo Carlsson, the Swede, off the board here first. He goes to Anaheim. And Adam Fantilli, the 3rd overall pick, the University of Michigan product, the first American off the board. There you go. Picks 1, 2, and 3 are in. And now I think is where the real part of this draft begins. There has been a lot of talk. Teams have been talking to San Jose about that 4th overall pick. We've heard a ton of stuff about Montreal. Apparently, they had 5 offers this morning. Debating were they going to go for it, were they not going to go for it. This is where the draft really begins. The top 3, we kind of knew in some order it was going to be 1, 2, 3, Carlson, Bedard, and Fantilli. Now, who goes next? Is it maybe someone off the board? Maybe Ryan Leonard moves up in the draft. Maybe we see a guy like Dalibor Dvorsky. Or do we see the guy that should go next? Is it a guy, maybe a guy like Michkov? Does Michkov end up coming off the board here? This is where the draft begins. So keep an eye out, guys. Oliver Moore's name is out there. Like I said, Dalibor Dvorsky's name has been out there. David Reinbacher, the top defensive prospect. We made a video about him the other day. Does he end up being one of these next 2 picks? This is where the draft is going to be real interesting. And like I said, if one of these teams ends up trading that pick, this could be real interesting. I'm really excited for this. Let's see what happens here. But now we're starting to see the draft pick up a little bit. And like I said, guys, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask, because I am looking to answer some of your guys' questions. So the 16th overall pick, PJ says, Kev, who are the Flames going to pick? I would say if a guy like Oliver Bonk is on the board, like a defenseman, that's probably what I would go with. Or Dmitry Simishev, one of those defensemen. I think Calgary could really use that. You could use forwards too, but defense is a little bit harder to acquire. And if I'm Calgary, I'm looking to rebuild the blue line a little bit. And you could do that with one of those young defensemen like Bonk or Simishev. So that's my pick for the Calgary Flames. But again, there's a lot that's going to happen between now and then. Does Calgary move up in the draft? Does Calgary move down in the draft? It's a lot of different things that can happen here over the next the next half hour. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. As a Canadian, I don't want to see Montreal get the pick right. I could see them going after a guy like Reinbacher. I don't know. I think it's going to be weird because you look at what Montreal has already, right? They've got Turcotte, Turcotte. No, not Turcotte. Newhook, Doc, Suzuki down the middle. So with the 5th overall pick, are you going to take another center like Will Smith? They could take a winger, I guess, right? Michkov is on the board, likely. Ryan Leonard. Oliver Moore, you already have Cole Caulfield, who a lot of the comparisons have been to Cole Caulfield in terms of what Oliver Moore could be at this year's draft. I wonder if they go for a guy like David Reinbacher here, but we'll see. San Jose has the 4th pick. They're on the clock, so we'll see who they end up going with here. This is where I think the new GM in San Jose and that new group are going to really put their stamp on this team, because if they take a guy like Will Smith here, which I would expect them to take, and there's been a lot of talk, they like Will Smith, then I think we're looking at the scenario here where that's the route they're going to go. Mitch Cobb's name could also be floated around San Jose. I don't think it's a good fit for them, to be completely honest with you. But like I said, Matt Wood's name is on the board. Zach Benson, Braden Yeager, Oliver Moore. Will Smith is my pick here for San Jose. But let's see here. We got another minute and a half here of San Jose on the clock. I wonder if they're going to trade it. It doesn't look like they're on the phone with anybody. So I would assume they're going to keep it, but you never really know with how the draft works. Something could come up and we hear Gary Bettman say we have a trade. So we'll see. Gabriel Perreault, Ryan Leonard. Axel Sandin Pelika. A lot of people like what he could potentially be. He's got a great name, by the way, too. And I made a video about this a couple weeks ago, but I was talking about how Adam Fantilli might be the next Jack Eichel. That would be huge. Man, if Columbus gets another Jack Eichel-esque player, you look at that center group they already have, right? You've got Cole Sillinger. You've got, depending on what happens with Alex Texier, he's expected to come back. So hopefully he's a good center piece to this team. Jack Roslovic. Now you've got Adam Fantilli. Man, Columbus is stacking up that center core. And, they lost Dubois. They lost Panarin. But this team has moved on. And it's really exciting for the Blue Jackets, as it sounds like things are going in the right direction for them. So all the talk about San Jose trading the pick is gone. The pick is in. San Jose will be selecting, and I would assume it is Will Smith. That's going to be my pick. So we'll see what they do here, but I'm going to go with William Smith as the Sharks selection. So let's see. All right, so Marlowe making the pick for the Sharks. There you go. Yep. Will Smith. There you go. Yeah, that made a lot of sense. We've been hearing that for a while. That's the guy they've wanted, and that's the guy they select. They get who they wanted. So far, nothing really off the board here. Montreal, I wonder what they're going to do, like I said, because unless they're taking Braden Yeager or Oliver Moore or Mitchkov, do they go for Reinbacher or do they decide to trade that pick? We're going to find out here very soon. So that is your second American off the board, as Will Smith from the U.S. National Team Development Program is now a member of the Sharks. They're adding to that center group. They've got a couple of decent centers there. You've got William Eklund. You've got Noah Gregor. And now you add a guy like William Smith, who I expect to be, at the very least, a top 6 center. A lot of excitement about what he could be. But this is now definitely the tertiary tier in this year's draft. You've got Bedard at number 1, Carlson, Fantilli in their own category. And now between picks 4 and really 10, anybody's guess could be where these guys end up going. But a good pickup by the Sharks, and congrats to Will Smith. There you go. So 4 straight centers go at the top of the draft. They don't listen. The value of centers is to a point where teams are going to take that center. They're going to go for the center. He just naturally is going to have more more to add to your franchise than a winger. That's just the reality of it, But considering how this draft has kind of been, it makes a lot of sense, right? So we'll see. Now things things are going to continue to be interesting here. So the next couple picks, number 5 is the Montreal Canadiens. Number 6 is the Arizona Coyotes. The Philadelphia Flyers are 7th. Washington is 8th. Oliver Moore, oh no. Detroit is 9th, and St. Louis is 10. I definitely expect one of these picks, if not multiple of these picks, to get traded. A lot of talk about St. Louis. I think they're going to keep the 10th pick. I could see them maybe moving some of those other picks later in the first round. I think they want to keep that 10th overall selection. Watch out for Philly. Danny Briere, yeah, he's been making a couple trades here and there, wheeling and dealing. Don't think for a second he's done. I think there are more moves in the sleeves of new GM Danny Briere. So keep an eye on that. Whether they move up to 5 or 6, still to be determined, but keep an eye out for the Flyers. There's also been talk that the Capitals could move up in the draft to take Michkov. We're gonna have to wait to see how this all goes. But yeah, this is it now. Montreal, there's been a lot of talk about them moving that pick, so we'll see. Urban said, what about Hayes to the Blues for nothing? It's a good move for the Blues. They pick up another center, guy that can play, can score. He just wasn't a good fit in Philly. I think he's a good player. It's just John Tortorella. You kind of knew, right? Like John Tortorella and Kevin Hayes were never going to mesh, right? You know, he just kind of was the scapegoat for John Tortorella. They don't match the way they think of the game, and we kind of knew it wasn't going to work. So I expect more from Hayes next season. He's a good player. You know, it's a little bit of a bigger team in St. Louis with that size and that mentality as well. You know, it is similar to the Flyers, the way Berube kind of coaches guys, but I think he's way more lenient with guys like Kevin Hayes because he knows that's not what they're good at, right? You know, that's like fitting a square peg into a circular hole. It's not going to happen. And I think that there's going to be a lot more flexibility for Berube, from Berube toward a guy like Kevin Hayes. I think it was a good pickup. The Flyers move out the salary, which is also huge for them. Maybe makes them able to make them trade now that they weren't going to make. So I'm okay with that. Speaking of the Flyers, we've also heard some stuff about what could happen with Travis Sanheim. Apparently, the Toronto Maple Leafs did indeed reach out to Danny Briere and the Philadelphia Flyers about the status of Travis Sanheim. So keep an eye out on Sanheim. If he ends up getting traded, that's a guy that could be available. And maybe this is a deal that happens tomorrow. Maybe not tonight, but tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. So Montreal is still on the clock. The pick is not in, which means they could still trade that pick. We'll see. Yes, Urban, they extended Sanheim to a massive ticket. And that's why I'm surprised the Leafs are even in the conversation, because I think Philly would have to retain salary on a 5 or 6. Actually, no, I think it's an 8-year extension for Sanheim. So I don't know. So Montreal's pick is in. Guys, they're going to go for Michkov, right? They're going to take him. It's going to be Michkov, man. Montreal's going to take him. Yeah, that was such a Chuck Fletcher contract too, Urban. Like, it was bad, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's like it's over 6 million per year for an 8-year deal. Like some disgusting deal. So Carey Price is going to make the pick for the Habs at 5. What? Carey Price forgot his name. Oh my God. Oh, he completely forgot what to say. Oh my God. Carey Price, man. He's like, David, and he's like, oh, I do not know how to say that name. So David Reinbacher, the defenseman, goes to Montreal. Yeah, this is what I'm not too surprised. I think it was down to Reinbacher or Michkov for Montreal. This is a good pickup for them. They've already got a couple good defensemen there. But it makes a ton of sense for the Habs, right? Because, like I said, they've got so many good centers already there. And you added Alex Newhook. Like, they didn't need another center. And if they went for a guy like Dalibor Dvorsky, it seems a little high to be taking a guy like that. So they really could have moved down in the draft to take him. But the fact they go for Reinbacher, I think Arizona would have taken him at 6 if Montreal didn't take him here. So, honestly, I'm completely okay with that pick. Yeah, so looking at that defense right now, right? You got Jordan Harris, Justin Brown, Caden Gooley. In the system, they've got Logan Mailloux, which we all know our thoughts on Mailloux, but William Trudeau, and that's about it. So, there's a team that's definitely in a state of transition, especially on the blue line. But I like the pickup here. Reinbacher, 6'2", 194 pounds, the Austrian native. A lot of Austrians getting taken here in the top 5 over the last couple of years. So, good stuff there for Austria. But you look at his points, right? He has 22 points in 46 games in a lower tier level. This is a big defenseman. That's what Montreal was looking for here, and they got their guy. And just to say earlier, Philadelphia's, that Chuck Fletcher signing for Travis Sanheim, just to look at the number, if a team is looking to acquire Sanheim, specifically the Leafs. So it's an 8-year deal. It's kicking in right now. Full no movement clause and $6.25 million per season for the next 8 years for Travis Sanheim. I don't know how the Leafs would make that work, but that's been the rumor. So there is your top 5. Chicago takes Connor Bedard. Anaheim ends up taking Leo Carlsson. The Columbus Blue Jackets take Adam Fantilli at 3. At number 4, we see Will Smith go to the Sharks. At number 5, where we end right now, the Montreal Canadiens taking the first defenseman off the board from Austria, and that is David Reinbacher. So there you go. That is your top 5. They're going into commercial break, which leaves us a little time to talk. So if you guys have anything to say, any thoughts on how the draft has gone so far for going into free agency, let me know what you guys think down below. So how is Michkov not taken? So apparently, PJ, and these are reports we've been hearing throughout the afternoon, was a lot of teams basically red flagged Matvei Michkov. This is going to be a guy that, you look at the teams that have drafted so far, right? The top 5. You have to look at the window for those teams. So specifically for Chicago, right? They're starting a rebuild, and let's be honest, Connor Bedard's on the board. So there's no debate about that. Then you get to 2, right? Leo, the problem is the gap in talent between Michkov or Fantilli and Carlson is basically none, if any at all. But then you throw in any possibility that there's any sort of character or personality issues that immediately will separate Leo Carlsson and Adam Fantilli and Will Smith and David Reinbacher from Michkov. So when the skill is so close between those players, that just shows you the gap. Like, there is such a small fraction of a percentage of a gap between all these players that there is that personality factor that is basically the difference whether they take this guy or not. And I think that now you're getting to the point now where you get to pick 6 to 10, where I think a team is going to be willing to say, especially in this year's draft, and no disrespect to some of these other guys like Oliver Moore or Dalibor Dvorsky or Ryan Leonard or any of those guys, but there's the sense that, well, if we take Michkov now, yeah, you know what? He has some character issues. Yeah, we're not going to see him for 2 years, but he's the best player on the board. And once you get a team on this, of these next, I'm going to say next 5 picks, because I don't think he's going to go past Washington. Between now, 6, 7, and 8, we are going to see Mitch Kov come off the board. I highly, highly doubt he is available at the 9th overall pick for Detroit. And not that I think Detroit would take him anyway, but I think we're going to see some version of it's going to probably be Oliver Moore, Matvei Michkov, and Ryan Leonard as your next 3 players. That is my predictions. I don't know what order those 3 players will be selected in, but the fact that Reinbacher is off the board now, unless Arizona maybe takes Zach Benson here, and I think a lot of people like Benson, and I think actually Arizona might take Zach Benson here. If they take Zach Benson, that leaves Philadelphia and Washington between probably Ryan Leonard and Michkov. So we'll see what happens here, but that's what I'm going to go with, and I'm going to stick with that. So we'll see. So Arizona is up to the table. Their pick is in, and let's see who they take at 6. If Arizona takes Michkov here, I will be shocked. They're going to take Michkov, aren't they? Arizona's going to take Michkov. Let's see. All the Arizona management has like this maroon magenta looking tuxedo, and it looks that's pretty good. That's cringe. Dmitry Simishev? They take the defenseman. Wow. He's shocked. He's like, wait, what? They picked me? Holy crap. Wow. So there's the first real shocking move here. Dmitry Simishev. He was projected to be between like 15 and 20. Wow. I can't even say I'd be upset with the pick. It's just odd. Because if you don't remember a couple years back, the Red Wings had the 6th overall pick, and nobody expected Mo Seider to be that defenseman to get picked there. And we know what Mo Seider has turned into. Wow. That was not the way I thought. See, that's the thing. Arizona was like weirdly quiet the last couple weeks, and I guess that's why. Wow. So Arizona takes Russian defenseman Dmitry Simishev. Very interesting pick. This sounds crazy. I think this is a great pick. Urban says worst office in hockey. I don't know about that, Urban. Honestly, I think I like this pick. As crazy as it sounds, 6'4", 198 pounds, 18-year-old defenseman. Again, that could blow up in your face. But again, with the players that are available, we know Michkov wouldn't have wanted to sign in Arizona, right? That could have been a complete that could have been a huge problem. So who else really would they have taken, right? They already have Dylan Gunther. They've already got Logan Cooley. So, how I look at this right now is like, did they really need another forward? Right? Did they need a Benson? Did they need an Oliver Moore? Probably not. Dmitry Simishev. Wow. So to recap your top 6, we've got Connor Bedard at 1 to Chicago. I'm still trying to take it in. So Simishev, wow. 2nd overall, we see Anaheim take Leo Carlson. At 3, we see Adam Fantilli go to Columbus. At number 4, Will Smith goes to the Sharks. At number 5, the Montreal Canadiens end up taking David Reinbacher, the top defenseman. And Arizona, with the 6th overall pick, takes 2 defensemen, the back-to-back defensemen, as Dmitry Simashev is off the board. So now Philly and Washington, you're going to have Michkov, Ryan Leonard, Oliver Moore, all available. Unless we see them go for a guy like Pelika, who's gained a lot of traction, I don't see them doing that. But, wow. Arizona, really interesting move there. So to round out the top 10, you guys may be asking, well, who's drafting next? So Philadelphia is drafting next. They're on the table, right? They're on the clock, 7th overall. Washington is 8th. Detroit with the 9th pick, and St. Louis with 10. At this point, I don't think any of these teams are going to move their pick, especially now that Simashev is off the board as early as he is. I think everybody in the top 10 might actually get who they want. If Philadelphia ends up taking a guy like Zach Benson, they could take that. I think Washington's going to go for Michkov. I think if he's available for them at 8, I think Washington's going to do it. 9, I could see Oliver Moore being a good fit for Detroit. And at 10, I think a guy like Dalibor Dvorsky instantly becomes the guy that St. Louis would go after. So we'll see what happens. I want to know your guys' thoughts on what's happened so far, because like I said, this is the first one that, kind of is catching people off guard here, as we have 2 defensemen off the board in the top 6. So 4 centers to start the draft, and now 2 back-to-back defensemen at 5 and 6. So let's see how things kind of transpire here. We also have a couple of picks that have been traded. So the Arizona Coyotes will be drafting again, 12th overall. They have the Senators pick that they got in the Jacob Chikrin deal. At number 17, the Islanders draft pick is now at Detroit. The Detroit Red Wings acquired that pick from Vancouver, which the Islanders traded that first round pick earlier this winter. In the Bo Horvat trade that went to Vancouver. Vancouver at the deadline ended up flipping that pick to Detroit. I believe for Filip Hronek, the defenseman. So that pick is now a member of the Red Wings. The Tampa Bay Lightning's pick at 19th, that ended up going to Chicago. It's been in one of the crazy deals that Tampa's had with Chicago over the last couple of years. I don't remember which one, but one of those deals. Chicago has Tampa's pick at 19. Philly has LA's pick at 22. 24, Nashville has Edmonton's pick. St. Louis has the 25th pick in the O'Reilly deal, the Achari O'Reilly deal from Toronto. New Jersey's pick is San Jose's property from the Timo Meier trade. Boston's pick is a member of Toronto. That was all a part of that weird Orlov trade situation. Basically, Boston traded that pick down to Washington. So Keith Jones. All right, so Philly's pick is in. Hold on, guys. So let's see. So there you go, Danny Briere stepping up. Let's see. Wow. So there he is, Matvei Michkov, a member of the Philadelphia Flyers. There you go. So the red flag himself, the Russian that had character issues and this and that, now a member of the Philadelphia Flyers. I like this move here by Danny Briere. He's making a stance. He's the best player available. And Danny Briere is saying to himself, this is an easy pick for us. Oliver Moore, Dalibor Dvorsky, they're all good players, but they don't have the skill and the potential ceiling of Matvei Michkov. The hardest thing is for them to get him over here. And I think once Michkov is a member of the United States with the Philadelphia Flyers, I think this is going to be a great pickup for them. They've had a couple of Russians in the past, right? They've had Jacob Voracek, those types of players in the past. This is nothing new for them. So this is honestly, I like the pick by the Flyers here. They've made kind of interesting picks in the past, which should have been the safe bet, right? They went for Nolan Patrick back in the 2016 draft, or the 2018 draft. We know that didn't work out so well. He was supposed to go first overall for 2 years, ended up having a lot of injury issues before he even got into the NHL. The Flyers took him at second overall, and things didn't work. And they're going to take a risk here with Michkov, but the reward for Michkov is through the roof. Like I said, if they get him in here, this is going to be a huge, huge difference maker for the Philadelphia Flyers. And you can't teach scoring. Scoring is one of those things that you just have or you don't. Michkov has all the ability in the world to put the puck not only in the back of the net, but through the net. Really good pickup here for the Flyers. We're actually getting a look at their new jerseys, which actually look pretty nice. I'm not going to lie. A pretty nice looking uniform here for the Flyers. I like it. Very nice. So Matvei Michkov to Philadelphia. Oh, man. So that's going to break the hearts of the Caps fans because they were hoping that they were going to get Michkov. And there you go. Wow. He does not look thrilled, though. Maybe it's because nobody drafted him yet, or he was really just hoping he was going to go to Washington. I don't know, but wow. The Flyers fans are probably freaking out right now. They're probably so excited because all I've heard on Twitter is if he's available, they want Michkov. And they got the guy. They got the best player available at that spot. That's all you could do. So this St. Petersburg of the KHL forward, he's going to play next season in Russia. So he's not going to come over next year, maybe not even 2 years from now, but it's worth the wait. You're talking about, Kirill Kaprizov potential level, right? You got to wait a couple years for him to come over, but it's worth the wait. I think that's what we're going to see here with Matvei Michkov. So now I don't know what Washington's going to do, but um, nice. There you go. So Michkov, again, he said all the right things here. He said he wants to play in the NHL. He wants to win a Stanley Cup. That is, I think there's going to be a lot of wet dreams tonight in Philadelphia as the Flyers have the best Russian available on the board in Philadelphia. That is a huge, huge pickup for the Philadelphia Flyers. Wow. And I got to be honest, everybody talks about his character and things like that. He looked extremely composed. Can't speak a lick of English, basically. He looks like a pro, you know? He seems very mature for his age, and this isn't a knock on the other guys, even Connor Bedard. Michkov just looks like he's just cool as a cucumber. Yeah, I want to win a Stanley Cup. That's what the Flyers needed. And yeah, Urban, yeah, exactly. Kirill, yeah. He reminds me a lot of Kirill Kaprizov, right? Minnesota had to wait a long time for that pick to come through. They weren't even sure if he would come to Minnesota. And look at the rewards now. That patience pays off so dearly. And I think that was Danny Briere has literally done everything right for the Philadelphia Flyers, man. Oh, he's got 3 more years. Wow. So, but yeah, and that's what Urban says. Yeah. So he'll be over there till 26, 27. Yeah. I got to be honest, as an Islanders fan, I'm very happy that Washington didn't get him. It's like, it's bittersweet because now Philly got him. Now, the good news is for me, I could watch him when he comes over because that's not terribly far from me. It's like 2 hours away. So I could watch Michkov over in Philly, but we'll see what happens there. Yo, what's going on? Ali Desh, thank you for joining us here tonight. Thank you for joining us, Ali Desh. Washington punching their table after that pick. Yeah, 1,000%. So Washington's pick is in. Ryan Leonard to Washington. Good pick. Good pick. He's going to be a pain in the ass, though. That's a tough guy to play against. A lot of comparisons to Tom Wilson, right? For my Caps fans out there, you want a comparison? You're looking at another Tom Wilson. So Wilson might be coming out the door, going to Ottawa or one of these other teams this summer. Man, the Capitals always need some kind of pain on the ass on their team, and now it's Ryan Leonard. So Ryan Leonard played the U.S. National Development Program last season. Really good player here for the Caps. This is a guy that a lot of people like his demeanor. Really good composure, maturity. That's what you're looking for. And for the Capitals, that's already a very veteran-led room. And, you get a guy like this and Ryan Leonard that's already a step ahead in the sense of his maturity. That goes a long way in the locker room in the beginning of your tenure with the team. And Ryan Leonard could make this team out of camp. As crazy as that might sound with the cap situation in Washington and things like that, Ryan Leonard, another American off the board. Great pickup for the Caps. 1,000%. Who's trading for DeBrincat? Yeah, Urban, that's right. Yo, what's going on? Morgan, welcome to the chat. Morgan, Cowboy Morgan America, red, white, and blue. What's going on, Morgan? As usual, he's always changing up his avatar, but that's all right. We love him anyway. So thank you so much for joining us, Morgan. We got some of the OGs in the chat. We got Urban, Ali Desh, Morgan. You guys are the best, man. Ali Desh changed his name like he changes his socks. Yes, sir. All right, so there you go. So that is our top 8 picks so far. So just to recap for some of you guys jumping in, Chicago takes Connor Bedard first overall. Anaheim goes a little off the board, but pretty much in the same range. Leo Carlson at number 2. Columbus takes Adam Fantilli with the 3rd overall pick. San Jose takes Will Smith 5th overall. Montreal takes the first defenseman off the board, David Reinbacher. Arizona really making the big splash here as they take Dmitry Simashev, the Russian defenseman. He wasn't supposed to go until probably like the 10th or 15th pick. Big pickup there for Arizona. Big bump for Simashev. Congratulations to him. We see 2 Russians back-to-back off the board as Matvei Michkov goes to the Philadelphia Flyers. And now Washington takes Ryan Leonard. So just to recap for you guys, the first 4 picks were all centers. The following 2 picks back-to-back were David Reinbacher and Simashev. That's 2 defensemen. And now we have seen 2 wingers in Michkov and Leonard off the board. So 4 centers in a row, 2 centers in a row, 2 wingers in a row. So kind of interesting to see how that's kind of worked out. So now to round out the top 10, we've got Detroit at the 9th overall pick and St. Louis with the 10th overall pick. Continuing up to the top 15, 11 is Vancouver. Arizona is drafting again with the 12th pick. Buffalo with 13, Pittsburgh with 14, and 15 is your hometown Nashville Predators. So keep an eye on the Preds here because I know Barry Trotz has been looking to move up. I don't know if he'll be able to, but keep an eye on that. I'm trying to get an idea of what Detroit would do because there's a lot of things that's already really good about this team in Detroit, right? You've got some really good talent up front. Bless you. You have your top tier center, right? You've got guys like Dylan Larkin. You brought in Marco Casper last year. He's projected to be a really good mainstay in the future. You do have Philip Zadina, depending on what happens with him. You have Jonathan Berggren, Lucas Raymond, just to name a couple of other guys in the system. They've got Elmer Soderblom, who everybody loves. Alexandre Duchette, that's definitely a guy to watch. Taro Hiroge, Cross Hanis, all those guys are top tier forwards. So on the blue line, would the Red Wings be looking to get somebody on the blue line? They have William Wallander, Simon Edvinsson, Emil Viro, Albert Johansson. Honestly, I think it's going to come down to one of these three names: Oliver Moore, Zach Benson, or Dalibor Dvorsky. Those are my three picks here for the Detroit Red Wings: Dalibor Dvorsky, Oliver Moore, or Zach Benson. The fact Zach Benson is still on the board does surprise me a little bit. This is a guy that was projected to be one of those top 5 guys, honestly, whether he might go 4th or 5th overall. So to see Zach Benson still there, I wonder if Detroit's going to go with that guy, or if they've already kind of committed to the idea that they were going to get Oliver Moore. That's the guy they really wanted, and they thought he was going to be available. Maybe they go down that route. But like I said, they've already got a ton of centers. So Dvorsky doesn't make a ton of sense, but they could do that anyway, right? So let's see what they do here, because now I would assume it's going to be one of those 3 guys, right? Or do they go for the defenseman Axel Sandin Pellikka? That sounds like a Detroit pick, honestly. We know Yzerman loves, the Red Wings in general love their Swedish defensemen. Ooh, that could be interesting. Do they go for Pellikka here? I don't know. Nate Danielson? What? Wow. So that one definitely caught me off guard. I was completely wrong. So Nate Danielson from the WHL's Brandon Wheat Kings. He's your typical Western Hockey League defenseman, as Don Cherry would say it himself. A good Western Canadian boy. He's already 6 foot, 186 pounds at 18 years old. Nate Danielson is a big center here. And there was talk that Detroit was going to go for a center. I did think they were going to go for Dvorsky here, but if you know anything about Steve Yzerman, expect the unexpected. And he does it again here in the top 10. He did it a couple years ago for Mo Sider. He did it again this year with Nate Danielson. So to kind of bet against him, it's kind of stupid. We've seen enough of Yzerman to know what he's doing. Interesting pick here for Detroit. Very, very interesting. And now it creates St. Louis. They have a whole bunch of things they can do here. They could go for Zach Benson. They could go for Oliver Moore. They could go for Dvorsky. They could go for Pellikka if they want to go for the Swedish defenseman. There's a whole boatload of things that St. Louis and Vancouver, they're definitely happy that teams like Arizona and Detroit going a little bit off the board might actually be a benefit for guys like St. Louis and Vancouver, who there's certain guys that they want that are still probably going to be available. I'm shocked out of my Crocs. That's right. Yeah, so St. Louis, that's right. Thank you for that, Ali Dash. And he mentions that St. Louis has the 10th overall pick, the 26th overall, the 25th overall pick, and the 29th pick. Thank you, Ali Dash, for that. Yeah, and that's the thing. I could see them moving those 2 later first-round picks, either to move down in the draft to pick up more draft picks later in this draft, or to pick up somebody else that's going to help them this season. So keep an eye out for that, because I think St. Louis is going to be working the phones here tonight to maybe move some of those draft picks. So keep an eye out for that for St. Louis. Yeah, he's a good player. In 68 games last year, he picked up 68 points. He was a point-per-game player, 33 goals, 35 assists. Interesting pick there. Definitely not what I was expecting, but like we always say, with Steve Yzerman, expect the unexpected. So to me, not that shocking, but nonetheless, not the name I was expecting to go at that spot. 6'2", 186 pounds. Yeah, he's a big center. Yeah, and let's give a quick shout out to Morgan and the Vegas Golden Knights franchise. Congrats on the Stanley Cup victory. as the Las Vegas Golden Knights are your Stanley Cup champions for 2023. A lot of boos have been going on in Nashville. I know there's that little bit of a, that sibling rivalry between Nashville and Vegas, which is kind of funny because people do not like Vegas and Nashville. They're party cities that want to have fun, and Vegas is now direct competition to Nashville in that category. A whole 6 years, yeah, right? Imagine, oh man, Golden Knight fans really suffered. They waited a whole 6 years, right? That's tough. So they asked Steve Eisman about the draft, right? And where is the state of the Detroit Red Wings franchise? I love listening to Eisman's press conferences because he just gives you a ton of information without giving you a ton of information, if that makes sense. And, there's a little bit of smoke and mirrors there, but he kind of tells you how it is in the sense of, what the direction of this team is. He just doesn't go into detail as much as you would like, but you get the message from him. And that's something about Eisman that I really appreciate, even his time in Tampa and especially now in Detroit. You know, now you just look at this group, right? Especially down the middle. Marco Casper, Dylan Larkin, Andrew Kopp. Then you have a guy now in Nate Danielson in the next couple years. That's pretty much going to be the replacement to Andrew Kopp in the next couple years. Is Nate Danielson's probably going to fill in that role as probably either a second or third line center, depending on what happens with Casper and some of the other guys on this team. Good move. So St. Louis will be selecting with the 10th pick. No surprise there, as their pick is in, and they will be going up to the podium. So let's see what happens. Oh, God, Peter Chiarelli's there. I can't believe that guy's still. How does Chiarelli still have a job? That is like crazy to me. Sure, he's a nice person, but the way he's blown up some of these teams, it's like, oh my God. They're going to take Palika. Yeah, they're going to take the defenseman. Wow. So they do take Dvorsky. Dalibor Dvorsky goes to St. Louis. Short and sweet for Doug Armstrong, the GM of the Blues. And there you go. So the big comparison for Dalibor Dvorsky, the centerman from AIK Sweden, Bo Horvat. So keep an eye out for that. That's definitely an interesting pick there for St. Louis. I'm surprised. I think even the guys here announcing they kind of need help on the blue line. So that makes me wonder if St. Louis will maybe move those picks, the 25th and 29th picks, to maybe add defensemen, whether they I don't think they're going to draft a defenseman at that spot. They might even look to add somebody that could come in right now. So keep an eye out for that. But Dalibor Dvorsky goes to the St. Louis Blues. And I think that's the guy that the Blues always wanted. So it's not a huge surprise, but big pickup there. The 6'1", 200-pound 200-pound center from Sweden. Good pickup. And he's actually originally from Slovakia. So he spent last season in Sweden, but is originally from Slovakia. So Vancouver at 11. Really interesting for Vancouver because I honestly think they should take the defenseman here because Zach Benson, Oliver Moore, they're on the table here. They're on the board, but they kind of need help on the blue line, I would think, right? Let me know what you guys think. Should Vancouver draft another center or a forward, or should they go for the defenseman? I want to know what you guys think because on the blue line right now, they have Elias Pettersson on the blue line. And that's about it. Up front, they've got Jonathan Lekaramaki, R2 Ratu, who they got in the Horvat deal, Niels Höglander. They've got some good forwards. So do they go for Axel Sandin Pellikka, who is the defenseman? I want to know what you guys think. Urban agrees. Yeah, the Canucks need defense. Hope they draft a bust. That's great, Ali Dush. Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do here because, honestly, I think they should go for the D. I think they go for the D man here. But Zach Benson, Gabe Perreault, both on the board. So you wonder if they go down that route. Axel Sandin Pellikka, Oliver Moore. So there's some good names still available here with some of these weird picks. It's allowed some of these guys to fall that were expected to go higher. Tom Wielander, Swedish defenseman. Do they go for the Swedish defenseman as well? There's a couple different things they could do here. So just to recap for you guys real quick. So Chicago takes Bedard. Anaheim goes with Leo Carlson. Columbus goes with Adam Fantilli. San Jose goes with Will Smith. David Reinbach, the newest member of the Montreal Canadiens. Dmitry Sibyshev, 6th overall to Arizona. Matvei Michkov, the red flag of the hour. He goes to Philadelphia. Ryan Leonard to Washington. Nate Danielson to Detroit. That was a bit of a shocker. And Dalibor Dvorsky, 10th overall to the St. Louis Blues. So just to recap your top 10, we've got 3 Canadians on the board here in the top 10. 1 Swede, 2 Americans, and 3 Russians, as well as 1 Austrian, David Reinbacher. So 3 Canadians, 3 Russians, 2 Americans, and an Austrian. So congratulations to all those countries on having a first top 10 selection. What's going on, guys? Thank you for joining us here as the top 10 of the draft is complete. And just to go through the rest here, so Vancouver's pick is in. We're going to wait to see what they do here. But they have the 11th overall pick, and they will be drafting with that pick. So let's see what the Canucks do at number 11. Tom Willander. There you go. Tom Willander. So Rogel Jr. of Sweden. So they go with the defenseman, not Axel Sandin Pelika, though. He was projected to be higher than Willander, but Willander is now your guy in Vancouver. So that was my pick. I'll say I was right on that. They needed defensemen, right? They needed help on the blue line. You had a little bit of help alongside guys like Quinn Hughes. They needed to make that pick, right? And other than Elias Pettersson, yes, the defenseman Elias Pettersson, now you add a guy like Willander and Quinn Hughes. They are rebuilding that blue line in Vancouver. They've got enough good young forwards. They've got Niels Höglander, Jonathan Lekkerimäki. They have a bunch of good players. Vasily Podkolzin, Neil, the list goes on and on up front. They need help on the blue line. Great pickup here for Vancouver. And they get probably the guy they wanted here as well. So Willander will be going to Boston University, so he'll be with the BU Terriers. So don't expect him in Vancouver this fall, but the 6'1", 180-pound Swedish defenseman from Stockholm, Sweden, is now a member of the Vancouver Canucks. So congratulations to Tom Willander. Congrats to the Canucks as they now have their next Swedish defenseman in Vancouver. So there you go. He had 25 points in 39 games last season with the SHL. So that's probably a good sign for him as he looks to go to the NHL probably the next 2 or 3 years. We know defensemen take a little longer to develop, but that usually is worth the wait. And I think that's what we're going to see here from them. So at number 12, the Coyotes will be selecting again at 12 and Buffalo at 13. So just to give you guys an update on kind of where everybody seems to be. So we'll see. So there you go. So Arizona back on the board. The pick from the Jacob Chikrin trade, now a member of the Coyotes. So they already took a defenseman off the board defenseman. They probably could have drafted Simishev at number 12. That's the weird part about that pick is they probably could have got Simishev at 12 and they probably could have got Michkov at 6. That's the part of this that I'm not a huge fan of for the Coyotes is I get you go for the guy you want, but I think they could have got Michkov and Simishev, which to be completely honest, that would have looked a lot better right now. But definitely not the way we thought it was going to go. A couple of guys have already slid in the draft. Zach Benson and Oliver Moore were projected to even go in the top 5. And that has not been the case. Notable Swedish defensemen, yeah. Brodin, Klingberg, Kronwall, Carlson, Kjellberg. Give me some Swedish defensemen in the comments down below. I want to know you guys who, when you think of a Swedish defenseman in the National Hockey League over the last 20 years-ish, other than those names, who do you guys got? And we've got a couple here in this year's draft. The first one being Tim Willander. We also have Leo Carlson, who was a center. He was drafted to Anaheim. And Axel Sandin Pelika is another one who seems to be on a lot of people's radar. So who's Willander most like? Willander, I don't really know much about Willander because this is a guy that was projected to go in the 15 to 20 range. So he actually went a little bit earlier. But looking at his numbers, like I said, he played last season with Rogel. He produces as a defenseman. Looking at his time in the under 18 for Sweden in the World Junior Championships, he picked up 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points in 7 games. In an international tournament, he had 12 points in 19 games. And And what is this? In Rogel BK of the junior of the 20 league, the 20-year-old league, he had 25 points in 39 games as a defenseman. So this is a guy that is not your just defensive defenseman. This is a guy that can produce and put points on the board. So I like that pick for Vancouver. Reminds me a lot of us, really, I don't know for certain, but if I had to think of a defenseman, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, just the young version of Oliver Ekman-Larsson. That's kind of how I'm looking at this. But I think if I had to give a comparison for personally, nobody said this, but I would go with like a guy like OEL, who the Vancouver Canucks, in fact, did buy out. So Oliver Ekman-Larsson will no longer be a part of the Canucks. It was a good move by both sides. I think Ekman-Larsson wanted out. I think that, the Canucks wanted to get out of that deal. So it is what it is. What? What is Arizona doing? All right, that's too much for me, guys. So Daniel Boot from Yaroslavl of the Junior Russian League, the left winger, he was a maybe first-round pick. So now they take Dmitry Simishev, the left shot defenseman from Russia. Now they take a left winger from Russia and Daniil Boot. Interesting pick. Interesting by Arizona. This is something that on draft day, you're like, what the hell are the Coyotes doing? But you'd like to think they know what they're doing here. You'd like to think they know what they're doing, but this is getting weird. The Coyotes just said, we are going to go against what everybody else is saying and do what we want to do. It's truck nuts on draft day. It could come up to blow them in the face, though, in 5 or 6 years from now. So we'll see. I just find it hard to believe with Oliver Moore and Zach Benson and some of these other guys left on the board that they don't go for any of them. That's crazy. It's stocking up on Russians before they get banned from the league. Yeah, right, Ali Dash? Hopefully that's not the case, but you'd have to think it's on the table. I don't know. Arizona, is this the purposeful tank? I don't know what this is. Very interesting. And listen, they get paid millions of dollars to be GM and scouts and things like that. They know more than me, but I have to say I'm surprised. 6'5", 203-pound Russian left winger Daniil Boot is the 12th overall selection to Arizona. So it's the draft of Russians so far for the Arizona Coyotes. Wow. So the next couple picks, we've got Buffalo at 13, Pittsburgh at 14, Nashville at 15, Calgary at 16, Detroit at 17, Winnipeg at 18, Chicago at 19, and Seattle at 20. So we'll see how the rest of this goes. It's kind of hard at this point to predict who's going to go where because I'm shocked if Oliver Moore and Zach Benson don't go in the top 20 because they were projected to be like top 10 guys. So, there's going to be a chip on the shoulder of those two young gentlemen because these are guys that probably should have gone somewhere between 6 and 11, and that has not been the case for them. So I think it'll be a benefit for them when they make it to the NHL, but it's definitely tough. When you're projected to be going somewhere and it doesn't work out that way, that's definitely tough, All right, so there you go. So Arizona, man, they're saying a lot of good things about this Daniil Boot guy. So I don't know. I don't know much about him because he wasn't projected to be in the top 10. So I don't know. I have to say, I wasn't as good about this year's draft, figuring out who was the better prospects and things like that. Outside of the top 10, I'm a little bit, kind of unsure. Even with when when you guys were talking about Wheelander, what is he a good comparison to? I want to say just off numbers and kind of his frame and things like that, I want to say Oliver Ekman-Larsson, but I really don't know. So we'll see how things go. So Buffalo's last couple picks, Isaac Rosen, Owen Power, Yuri Kulich, Noah Ostlund, Matthew Savoie. So now who does Buffalo go with here? Honestly, I think they go for Palika. I think they're going to go for Palika here. Add to that blue line. Just have a nasty, big Swedish defense, right? Oh, they might go for the Buffalo kid. Buffalo kid Musty, I guess, is on the board. All right, so they're kind of saying they might go. Honestly, I think they're going to go for Palika, or there's this Buffalo native named Musty, who they might go after. So let's see. So the pick is in for Buffalo. Let's see what they end up doing here. So they go with Zach Benson from Winnipeg. So there you go. So he fell in the draft. He's going to look to prove some people wrong in this year's draft. I think a good pickup for Buffalo. They've already got a lot of really good young wingers on this team, just good young forwards. But take the best of the bunch and trade whoever doesn't fit. You just look. Yeah, so they're saying Zach Benson, a good comparable, is a good 200-foot center, penalty killing guy. Travis Konechny. So he can score goals. He can keep the puck out of your own end. But like I said, so look at some of the young guys in Buffalo. Tage Thompson, Dylan Cousins, Casey Middlestat, Peyton Krebs, Jack Quinn, JJ Paterka. Let me go to their AHL team. Yuri Kulich, Noah Ostin, Matthew Savoie, Isaac Rosen. They have a lot of talent down there. Brett Murray, Alex Kishikov, Olivier Nadeau. They have some really good young forwards. And now you add Zach Benson to that mix. Man, Buffalo is just loading up on these young players. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, and I love the mullet. That is a great haircut, right? He's got good taste in hair, does Zach Benson. So 5'10", 170 pounds, so he's a little bit undersized. He had 98 points in 60 games last year in the WHL. So a really good season for him last year in Winnipeg. So there you go, Buffalo, man. Just stacking it up. I'm surprised they didn't go with a defenseman, though. I really am. So Pittsburgh is next. Kyle Dubas making his first move as a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He brought in Riley Smith earlier this afternoon for a third-round pick. I like the deal. I don't know how Morgan kind of is taking it. That's one of the misfits, Riley Smith, who's no longer there. That's the salary cap world. They had to keep Ivan Barbashev, so they decided to let go of Riley Smith. I think he's a great pickup for Pittsburgh. They need more guys like that. Um, if I had to think of a comparable today, think of when they brought in Patrick Hornquist a couple of years back. I think it's similar in that regard. Riley Smith's not afraid to get in front of the net. He's definitely got the knack for scoring, and he's a guy that can perform in the playoffs. And that's something that Pittsburgh's kind of lacked over the last couple of years. Yeah, they missed the playoffs this year, but they've made the playoffs pretty much every year since then. Before then with Sidney Crosby. That this was only the second season in the Sidney Crosby era that they missed the playoffs. So Riley Smith's a guy that can help you not only get into the playoffs, but can help you when you're in the playoffs. When you need that big goal in a game 3 or a game 4 to get home ice advantage, Riley Smith's the kind of guy that can score that big goal for you. So keep an eye out there for that. In terms of who they pick here, I'm trying to think of what kind of guy would Kyle Dubas go for it? The thing is, for Pittsburgh, they need help everywhere. To put it lightly, Ron Hextall kind of blew this team up, especially the prospect pool. So when you look at some of the young players they do have, there's two guys that are really the most notable of any real significance we know about. Up front, it's Drew O'Connor. And on the blue line, the big guy that everybody has been talking about is Owen Pickering. So other than that, it gets really thin in terms of prospects. You have some guys that are like mitigating guys like Ty Smith, Lucas Shevkovsky, Samuel Poulin, we've been waiting forever for him to turn into that NHL product. Philip Hallander, Valtteri Pustinson. They have some guys, but they could go for a defenseman. They could go for a forward here. The fact that Zach Benson's off the board, I do wonder if they go for a guy like Colby Barlow. Colby Barlow sounds like he would be a good fit there in Pittsburgh. And you want to rebuild your center core, right? Because right now, yes, you have Crosby, you have Malkin, you've got guys like Granlund, who I don't think is going to be there in the fall, Jeff Carter. You need to rebuild that center group. So depending on what happens with guys like Ryan Poehling, you kind of have to look at adding more center depth. And Colby Barlow, like I said, I think that would be a really good pick for them at number 14. So we'll see what they go. Do they go for that defenseman, Palika? I don't know if that's where he's going to go. I think he's going to end up going to Nashville, to be completely honest with you. But keep an eye out for either. I'm going to go with Oliver Moore or Colby Barlow, and I put money on Colby Barlow here. So we'll see what they do. So Dubas is up at the table. Braden Yeager. Okay, so they do go for a center from the Western League, but they don't go with Colby Barlow. So Braden Yeager from the Moose Jaw Warriors of the Western Hockey League is the newest member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. So this makes a little sense, right? You've got Owen Pickering. You've got what's his name? I keep forgetting his name. Drew O'Connor up front, Braden Yeager up front, and then you've got, of course, your young defenseman. This is a great move by Pittsburgh. They really couldn't have gone wrong with any pick other than some guy that was projected to go in the third round. They need help everywhere on the blue and on the lineup. Defensively, on the wing, down the middle. So he's a little bit undersized. He's 5'11", 170 pounds from Saskatoon. But that's a guy that you wait 2 years for. And he's going to be ready to go. So I think it'll be worth the wait. So we'll see how things go there. But okay. What? No, they have these young guys talking and like they're awkward, you know? What do you guys think of the young guys talking so much for the interviews? Like, I get it, that's what they have to do, but like even Connor Bedard up there, like you can just tell he just looks so uncomfortable. Like I'm uncomfortable for him, you know? I don't know. I mean, I feel for him. It's not the players that I'd be like upset with. It's more they just, like Bedard was up there earlier and now you have him back up there again. Like, man, just let the guy enjoy his moment, you know? I don't know. Yeah, Ali Desh. Yeah, Reinbacher looked horrified. Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's a perfect example. Even Leo Carlson, I felt bad for Leo Carlson for Anaheim. They just look so uncomfortable. Like I said, like you have to learn how to handle it, I guess, but it's just tough, Maybe he wasn't happy to be a Hab. That's true too, Ali Dash. There's gonna be a lot of pressure on David Reinbacher, day number one there in Montreal. That is a very good point. So now the hometown Nashville Predators are on the clock. The first pick as a general manager for new GM Barry Trotz. So this is going to be a big one here for the Nashville Predators. What's going on, Toe? Welcome to the chat, our Finnish member of Goal Line Hockey. What's going on, Toe? I feel bad for Fantilli. Yeah, he's stuck in Ohio, right? He played college hockey at Michigan, and then he goes to Ohio. Yuck. Screw that. And Toe hates the Flyers. There you go. So Nashville here, I'm kind of done guessing who I think is going to go because I think they go for Palika here. I think they go for a defenseman, but I have no freaking idea, man. These picks have been so off the board this year. It's hard to predict. But that's who I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Palika for a defenseman, and for a forward, I'm going to go with Oliver Moore. That's my pick. What's in the Gatorade bottle? Ali Dash, nothing good. Just water. Just water. Mishkov was perfect for Caps and Leonard perfect for Flyers. Yeah. That's the thing, though. Michkov ends up going to Philly. Barlow to the Preds. Okay, I like that pick, too. I like that pick there, Toe. I don't know if they made that pick yet or you're predicting it, but I do like that if that's what they end up doing. Yeah, the Preds fans are pretty hyped right now. David Poile and Barry Trotz together again. I'm really heartbroken that things didn't work out with Trotz and the Islanders and just the way it ended, but I'm really happy for him that he got to go back to Nashville. This is awesome. It's bittersweet. Matthew Wood, 2 in Nashville. Exactly. That's how we all predicted it, right? Yo, you guys are hysterical, man. You guys just love the Long Island, New York accent. The Islanders posted something the other day. If you guys don't follow the Islanders Twitter, basically they were trying to have basically Islanders fans say the team names of the other teams around the league, and it was kind of hysterical. Like they were like the Devils, like they were saying it weird, and I was like, "There's what do you mean? They're just saying it." I don't even notice the accent, which is kind of sad, I guess. But yeah, I guess I'm in that category too. Kevin is drinking just water. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Ali Dash. Is that water bussin'? Oh my god. Yo, you guys are the best. Yeah, I know, Toe, right? They were talking about all these trades and this and that. Nothing. No trades yet. Um, hopefully soon, but I think we're going to see something with St. Louis. I just can't imagine St. Louis keeping both those picks. Toronto might move their pick. Those are the two teams that's really it at this point. We want trades. 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 There you go. Come on. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's been good. There's been a couple of interesting picks, especially Arizona, but we want water. We want water. There you go, guys. I got you. So there we go. So another interesting thing, the last three picks, Zach Benson, Braden Yeager, and Matthew Wood, all Canadians. So there you go. Also, a lot of Russians in this year's draft, too. We got Daniel Boot, Dalibor Dvorsky, Dmitry Simashev, Matvei Michkov. So in your top 15, you've got three Russians, three Russians, a Slovak, two Swedes, seven Canadians, and four Americans. So there you go. So Calgary drafting 16th. Dvorsky isn't Russian. Yeah, he's Slovakian. That's right. That was my mistake, guys. He's a Slovakian. So for Calgary here, I think they take the defenseman. I've been saying this guy's name forever. I think Palika is a great fit for any of these teams. I think this is a good defenseman. It's going to be a matter of what Calgary wants to do, but I think they go for a defenseman here. So Matthew Wood from the University of Connecticut, the youngest player in college hockey last year, gets drafted into the National Hockey League. That's awesome. Congratulations. So now we've got Calgary at 16, Detroit at 17, Winnipeg at 18. So we'll see. Detroit's got their second pick here from the Islanders pick. Winnipeg's got a pick. This could be interesting here, but hot take, Giaev is drafted before Sandin Palika. Might be the case. Wow, Ali Jash, yeah, no Finns in the first round. Yeah, I find that hard to believe, right? I'm shocked Oliver Moore is still on the board. That one kind of got me a little bit. Yeah, Toe. Yeah, he's trying to get in Toe's head there. I know exactly what he's doing there. That's funny. 17 years old, Matthew Wood, 34 points. He led the team. That is incredible, man. So all you young guys out there, Morgan, some of you younger guys in here, guys, you could do it, man. It takes a lot of work, but it is possible. They're interviewing Bedard again on Sportsnet. Yeah. I honestly feel bad for Bedard. He can't even really take in the moment. I'm not a huge fan of that at all. I'm really not. Yeah, that's true too. So Toe says, and people must be afraid to finish guys after Kako and Lina. Yeah, that might be a part of it, right? So Barry Trotz is still the senior advisor. So I thought they were going to announce him as GM. I guess they haven't done that yet. I don't really know what this is about. Maybe David Poyle doesn't want to give it up yet. I don't know. That's right. Line was second overall. Kako was second overall. Yeah, that hasn't really worked out, has it, right? Samuel Hanzig. Interesting pick there by Van. So taking the kid from the Vancouver Giants, Western Hockey League's Samuel Hanzig, the left winger, is now a member of the Calgary Flames. So he stays on the west coast of Canada as Samuel Hanzig is your guy. So PJ, when you watch this later, Samuel Hanzig is your guy. So I don't know much about Hanzik, but we know the blueprint of the typical Western Canadian hockey player. They're big, they're tough to play against, and they're already saying a good comparison, Timo Meier, big power forward, not afraid to get in front of the net. He's got some skill to him. Definitely a big frame. He's a big dude. So that's kind of what you're looking at here with Samuel Hanzik. You know, Calgary needs a little bit more size on this team. Depending on what happens, they've kind of shifted to that younger model over the last couple of years, and they've lost some of those guys. But I think Samuel Hanzik is going to be a great addition to what they already have. You know, you look at this team in Calgary, you've got Samuel Hanzik now. You've got Connor Zary, Jakob Pelchier. On the blue line, Emile Poirier. They have some really good young players in Calgary that I think are going to be long-term pieces of this team. And as much as there's some frustration and a little bit of an upset with what's gone on in Calgary recently, they have some good younger players on this team. And, you know, they bring in Yegor Sharangovich. They have Matty Coronado. They brought him in this season. You know, Cole Schwint, Ilya Nikolaev. Looking on the blue line, like I said, you've got Jan Kuznetsov, Ilya Saleyev, Yeremy Poirier. They have some really good young players here that are former first, second, third round draft picks. I know it's not exactly where Calgary wants to be, but you bring in a guy like Hanzik, it's going to add a different dimension to what they already have there. I love that pick there for Calgary. So we'll see what's left because at this point, there's a couple of interesting names still on the board, like Palika, Oliver Moore still on the board. Colby Barlow, I think, is a name a lot of people are going to look at, the big left winger. So, you know, Detroit's drafting again here at 17. Honestly, I thought they could have gone for Oliver Moore at the number 9 pick. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't go with Oliver Moore at 17. You know, they added a center already. They could add Colby Barlow just to add more centers because you never have enough centers. And if that's the case, then Barlow's a good fit there. But Oliver Moore, I think, is one that I think Detroit should be looking at. Palika, how do they not go for the Swedish defenseman here? I've been going for this kid all night. Axel Sandin Palika. He has a great name, big Swedish defenseman. Come on, Detroit, take this guy off the board, make him the next Nick Lidstrom. That's who I think that Detroit's going to go with. 18, I could see Winnipeg going for, you know, they've just added so many young centers to this team. They've already been drafting a couple good centers. They've got Cole Perfetti. They've got Christian Vesalainen, whatever he turns into. Actually, he might be in Europe now. But they obviously added some guys here this past week in the Dubois trade, right? They've got Gabe Velarde. They just added Rasmus Kupari. So Colby Barlow or, you know, one of those centers probably not going to work. So you do look at a guy like Oliver Moore or a defenseman. I think Winnipeg could be going down that route. Chicago, they already have a ton of centers. They've got Bedard. They've got Nazar. They've got Doc. You know, they have one of the best defensive groups as well in the entire league in terms of prospects. Ethan Del Maestro, Kevin Korchinski. You know, if Chicago adds another defenseman on top of that, they could be a real force to be reckoned with. I could see them. If Oliver Moore somehow is on the board at 19, I think he's off the board at 19 by Chicago if he's not selected before then. Seattle at number 20. I could see them going for a defenseman too. They're kind of weird. They might even be willing to trade that pick, Seattle. And I just look at the teams around them. Nashville has the 24th, so maybe they move up to the 20th if there's somebody they really want. Because I could see Seattle moving down in the draft. Minnesota's at 21, Philly's at 22, the Rangers are at 23. I could see the Rangers even moving that pick. They've already got a ton of good young players in the system already that they might even have to trade because they have too many young guys. I don't know. I think if the Rangers can find a way to maneuver the cap, I could see them bringing in a guy that Laviolette has had on his team in the last couple of years that he really likes. So Toe said, fun fact, Sandin Pelika outscored Korchinski this season. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if Chicago went out and got a guy like Pelika, it would be kind of hysterical. That defense would be loaded in Chicago. And we talk about the great defenses they've had in the past there, right? You know, Duncan Keith, Brent Seabrook. You're looking at that next generation of that. And I might have to make a video on that. How Kevin Korchinski and Ethan Del Maestro alone might be the next Duncan Keith, Brent Seabrook pairing we see in Chicago. Like that is how high the expectations are for specifically those two. And like I said, if you add a guy like Sandin Pelika, it's just more icing on the cake, right? Yeah, he's an offensive beast, right? So Ali Desh with a rumor update. So the rumor in Ottawa was there was a deal in place for DeBrincat. Is the guy Ottawa wanted was still available at 17. So that's interesting. Huh. So I guess if Ottawa, there was a player that Ottawa wanted and they were available at 17, they would have taken him. Interesting. Elliot Friedman looks like Doc from Back to the Future. He has his finger in an outlet. That guy is probably on very minimal sleep right now. Yeah, shout out to those guys. That's hysterical. So the Anaheim Ducks new jersey got unveiled, and I am so disappointed. It's the perfect color. It's the perfect color scheme. I want you guys to see this. What do you guys think of that? Let me know what you guys think. That is the Ducks new jersey that they unveiled for next season. I love the color scheme and all of that stuff. I hate that logo in the middle. That is terrible. What do you think? The logo, right?
I don't like it.
You don't like the colors either?
I don't like it.
I like the colors.
I like the black one.
That I have?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wanted to buy it, but like
Or
this
if
is
they-
ugly.
Or if they did the one on your hat.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this. That's what the design was supposed to be. It looks like this, but that's ugly. That's an ugly logo. That's an L, man. Man, I love the Ducks, and I'm wearing their hat tonight, but that's a freaking L, man. I can't buy that. I cannot get myself to spend $300 on that kind of jersey, man. Oh, yeah, you guys agree. Bush League jersey, hot garbage. Give me the Mighty Ducks. That's right. Bad logo, bad color. I disagree. I think the color is good, Ali Desh. I hate that logo, though. That is disgusting, man. Oh, such a missed opportunity. You know, some of these teams are really frustrating. Like the Islanders, right? You got the fisherman logo, so it should be okay. But then they change the colors up, and it's like, come on, man. Like, all you had to do was bring back the classic fisherman. You didn't have to change it. Somehow you turned the fisherman into a bad jersey. And you kind of did the same thing with the Mighty Duck, right? Is that like the mission? Like, let's see how bad we can make this jersey that everybody loves, right? That's basically what they're doing. It's disgusting. So Detroit keeping their pick. Their pick is in. So let's see what they do here. So this was the Islanders draft pick. It ended up going to Vancouver in the Horvat trade, and now that pick ended up going back to Detroit in terms of when they traded Philip Hronek to Vancouver. Ali Desh says, what are Angela's thoughts on the Anaheim jersey? Not good. She doesn't like the logo or the color. Yeah, she agrees with you guys. The color and the logo, not good. You'll make it for them? Yeah, they would have been better off because that thing's terrible. So Detroit, let's see. What is Yzerman going to do here? Because he already made a weird pick. Is he going to go with another weird one here at 17? There you go. So Detroit, baby. They listen to me. Axel Sandin Pellikka, the Swedish defenseman, the next Nicholas Lidstrom, is now in Hockey Town. Great pickup for the Red Wings. This guy, I've been chanting his name for the past hour and a half, and I'm glad he got selected. Yes, that's what we're looking for, baby. Axel Sandin Pellikka. He's jumping onto a really good blue line already in Detroit. We already mentioned them a little bit earlier, but just for some of you jumping in here, some of the defensemen already in Detroit that he will be playing alongside on that blue line. Of course, the big one being Simon Edvinsson. He was their top 10 selection a few years back. A lot of expectations for what he will be. Gustav Lindstrom, he's expected to re-sign. He's a pretty good player. Moritz Seider, we know what he can do at the NHL level. William Wallander, Simon Edvinsson, Antti Tomisto, Emil Viro, and of course, everybody's hometown favorite, Albert Johansson. So they've got some really good defensive prospects. Now you add Axel Sandin Pellikka to the mix from Skelfata of the SHL. 5'11", 180 pounds at 18 years old. He has a little bit of development to do, growing a little bit of that frame to get to that 200-pound mark, but a really good prospect here for Detroit. And to get him at 17, I think that's a complete win for the Detroit Red Wings. So that's a good day for Detroit. They pick up a center, Nate Danielson. They also pick up a defenseman, Axel Sandin Pellikka. Great day for the Red Wings and their fans. Yes, they weren't able to get DeBrincat. No, they didn't grab a guy like Mitch Cobb or one of those guys, but they had a really good day today. So good job once again by Steve Yzerman as they continue to build. It's been 7 years now that the Red Wings have missed the playoffs. You know, the way Yzerman was talking about this team, he kind of, he didn't mince words. He said, listen, we are not ready yet. And we're hoping to be very soon. But, the mindset stays the same in Detroit. They are continuing to build this thing from the ground up. Yes, Gabe Perreault is still on the board. So Oliver Moore, Gabe Perreault, Kobe Barlow, they've been on the board for a while. So I would expect one of those guys to go, but we don't really know. So now Detroit made their pick. Now Winnipeg with 18, Chicago with 19, Seattle at 20. Kev, of the guys still available, who's your favorite? Not necessarily the best, but your favorite. Honestly, I have a thing for the smaller guys. I'm going to go with Oliver Moore. A lot of comparisons have been made to a guy like Cole Caulfield. I think Oliver Moore, the reason he's fallen this far in the draft, a lot of it is probably because of his size. We're seeing 6'5" Russians and 5'11" defensemen. Oliver Moore, I believe, is listed at 5'9" or 5'10", which is considerably small for an NHL player. And I think that's really hurt his draft stock. But I think that's a guy wherever he ends up going could be a really good fit. And honestly, I think Winnipeg would be a good fit for Oliver Moore. You think of a guy like Nikolai Ehlers or something like that. Um, I think Winnipeg would like another Nikolai Ehlers in the lineup, and they could do that right here with this pick. Kyle Connor, that same type of player. Oliver Moore could fit perfectly into that group. Yeah, exactly, Urban. Yeah, Kaprizov's 5'10". Yeah, that's the thing. People just look at size and it's like, oh, he's 6'3", and that's not always how it works, right? So yeah, Kaprizov at 5'10". Yeah, he's short in terms of a hockey player, but he's still an unbelievable talent, making a lot of money, right? So Nathan Gerbe was 4'8". Yeah, that was insane. I remember seeing pictures of like Zdeno Chara versus Nathan Gerbe, and it was kind of sad. Like that was they did some pretty dirty stuff to Nate Gerbe by doing that, because those pictures were like, it looked like you could have put two Nate Gerbes on top of each other to be the height of Chara. That's how much of a gap there was. Moore is basically Larkin. I'm not sure who he means Moore. Oh, Oliver Moore is basically Larkin. Yeah, 203. Yeah, Benson also dropped because of his size. Absolutely. Gerbe's been listed as 5'6" and as small as 5'2". Yeah, I think they do that on purpose, right? Does Minnesota trade up, back, or pick, and who? I'm kind of torn. I think they should keep the pick, honestly. I just don't see anybody, unless there's somebody they can pick up like a Ross. Like if they were able to have the cap space for Ross Colton, I think they should have done that. What Colorado did, bringing in a guy like that. But other than that, I wouldn't go crazy making that kind of move. I'd say it's probably smart to keep the pick. And again, it depends on who's available, but I don't know. Right here with Winnipeg, I think, yeah, I want to say Oliver Moore, man. So there you go. Colby Barlow off the board to Winnipeg. So the Owen Sound left winger from the OHL, Colby Barlow, the newest member of the Winnipeg Jets. I think this is a good move. I mean, Colby Barlow also fell in this year's draft a little bit. He was projected to go maybe top 10, top 15, so he didn't fall too far, but he did fall a little bit. I think it's a good pickup. It sounded like Winnipeg wanted this guy. I've been hearing some little things here and there that they wanted Barlow, so this isn't too surprising. And Oliver Moore, man, is still on the board. He is still there. Wow. So just looking at Winnipeg, you've got Colby Barlow coming in, but you look at some of the guys that they already have there. This is a perfect fit. You've got Cole Perfetti, who's another young guy. You've got Morgan Baran, right? Rasmus Kukpari, Gabe Velarde, Saku Manilenin, Brad Lambert, Chaz Lucius, Nikita Chabrikov, Parker Ford, Henry Nikkanen, Jansen Harkins, Christian Reichel, Dominic Toninato. They've got some good forwards there. Now you add Colby Barlow. That's just another great piece there. And this is how things have to go in Winnipeg. They don't get guys that want to play in Winnipeg. They have to draft them homegrown and make them want to stay and give them enough reason to stay. And that's what they're doing right here, picking up Colby Barlow. He had 46 goals, 33 assists, 79 points last season in 59 games with the OHL's Owen Sound. So he had a really good season. And I'm not too shocked that he ended up going here in the top 20. You look at some of their defensemen, they've got Oskari Salminen, Arvid Holm, Evan Cormier, and of course the ones that we really look at here, Josh Morrissey, who had a breakout season this past season. That's really the big guy you're looking at on the blue line. They could have gone for a defenseman here, but I don't know who they would have gone for because Palika's off the board. But yeah, Brad Lambert, let's go. There you go. There's some Finnish love there, Toe. And they were just saying nobody from the QMJHL has been drafted yet. All right, guys. So my battery is low for my computer. I have 10% battery. So let me know what you guys think. Leave your final thoughts as we wrap up this live stream. It's been over 2 hours. So thank you so much to a bunch of you guys that have stuck around. It means a lot. You guys really, it's been a tough last couple of weeks. I've obviously started my new job. My future endeavors are also very much up in the air, but in a good way. And, unfortunately, the channel has taken a bit of a back seat over the last couple of weeks. So I really appreciate your guys' patience. A lot's been going on in my life. I'm sure a lot's gone on in your life. Shout out to Urban. He's been going through a lot too. He's been going through a couple of shoulder surgeries and things like that. Ali Desha's best damn plumber in New York. Might not be for that much longer. We'll see how things go as I continue to pursue my career to be a fireman. That's really my big thing. And, that's where things are going to be tough because if I go into the academy, it's going to be really tough to continue to put up uploads for you guys. I've been working, close to 60 hours a week the last really month and a half. And, I've been trying to find out any way possible to make videos for you guys each and every day. So, like I said, I don't want to be, kissing you guys' ass and this and that, but you guys really are awesome, and you guys motivate me every day with the comments, with the super chats, and just the love overall. The way you guys interact with each other is hysterical. You guys, giving each other shit and stuff. It's incredible. You guys are awesome, man. And I just remember when I started this channel in 2019, I was getting like, I was so happy when I got 50 views on a video. I was like ecstatic. I made it on YouTube. I had 50 views on a video. And just to see how far the channel has come since then, I'm disappointed when I don't get 1,000 views on a video. And, the sky's the limit for this channel. Maybe not 1 million subscribers. That's obviously the goal. But, we're going to take this thing as far as I can possibly go. Physically possible, I will go as far as you guys will let me and as far as I am capable of. That's it, baby. That's it. So, Ali Desh, sorry I haven't been too active on YouTube. Haven't been watching all your videos. Yeah, that's all right, Ali Desh. That's life, man. And you know what? I hate the word off season because I don't believe there is an off season for the NHL or any sport for that matter. But I understand maybe just needing some time off from the game, just so you don't get burnt out. I totally understand that. And yes, shout out to Urban. He said surgery pushed back to August 10th for wife's boss's convenience. There you go. That sounds about right. Right. We all have stuff going on, and I want this channel to be an escape from real life. I want to motivate you guys. I want you guys to be, shooting for the best possible life you can have. And I want this to be a channel that can help you, at the very least, just get away from it all for a little bit. Blow off some steam, enjoy yourselves, and watch some damn hockey and talk about hockey. That's what this channel is about, man, So there you go. So the Chicago Blackhawks take Oliver Moore with the 19th overall selection from the U.S. National Team Development Program. So congrats there to Oliver Moore, man. He had to stay in the first round, and I'm glad that he was able to get in there. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, I'm still doing the fitness channel too, Ali Dash. It's just with everything going on, I'm prioritizing Goal Line Hockey over the fitness channel. But I am still trying to post a little bit on there, or at least think of things to talk about. But yeah, I'm definitely putting all my focus on the Goal Line Hockey channel right now at this point. So we'll see how things go there. But if you aren't, make sure you guys subscribe to that channel. I believe I have links to it in the description down below and on my link tree, on my Instagram, all that stuff. So definitely make sure to check that out if you guys are interested. Just some things to motivate you guys and, things like that. So some tips for working out. So Oliver Moore, he goes to the Blackhawks. So Connor Bedard and Oliver Moore go to Chicago. I love that. I think that's great for the Blackhawks here. They pick up two guys that are, again, the draft comparable for Oliver Moore. He's 5'11", 195 pounds. He's not even that small. Paul Carrillo was the guy that everyone was comparing him to. So Oliver Moore, Connor Bedard are the newest members of the Chicago Blackhawks. Really the real eye poppers in this year's draft. Arizona takes two Russians, Shimashev at 6, the defenseman. And also they took, who did they take at 12? They took Daniel Boot, who was supposed to be like a mid to late first round pick. Detroit, of course, Stevie Y making moves. The moves you expect, expect the unexpected from Stevie Y. He takes Nate Danielson. Michkov goes to Philly, breaking the hearts of our Caps fans, including Toe. They take Ryan Leonard, who is a great consolation prize, in my opinion. Probably the next Tom Wilson in Washington. We haven't seen too much movement, though. Nobody's traded any picks on the draft floor today. So that's kind of interesting. But for the most part, this is kind of what we got. So all right, guys. So that is going to do it for tonight's live stream. Like I said earlier, guys, thank you so much for the support. Stay tuned. I plan on doing a live stream for July 1st. That's going to be a Saturday. July 1st is going to be our NHL free agency period. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be a busy day. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys again Saturday. Good night, guys.